Hey, welcome to the week 2 screencast. Congratulations, you made it through the first week. Obviously, week 1 we did an introduction to myself. You guys, day 2 we did a lab CER, so we looked at lab equipment, and you said, "What do you think this is?" Then day 3 we did a lab. Week 2 we're gonna be going over and specifically saying what each lab equipment is and what it does, and then talking about what the science of math is. So, thinking of that, what is all this stuff? First thing we have here is a clay triangle. Clay triangles are used to hold items while they're being heated. So what you do is you sit the clay triangle on a ring, which is what's next to it, and that ring will be attached to a ring stand over here. That ring stand's going to hold the ring. You're going to put that over top of a Bunsen burner. And that will be able to heat the thing. So we have a clay triangle, we have a ring, we have a ring stand, we have a Bunsen burner. After that, we're going to have the emergency shower. Obviously, we're not going to use a shower unless it is an emergency. If there is an emergency and you get some acid or something on your skin where you need to take a shower, you are going to basically have to get undressed. I will get everybody out of the room, so you will be in the room alone. And you're going to have to take a shower in here. There's the shower in the front of the room. You press the lever down, and you got to wash that off. If you do not, it can be permanently harmful to you and your skin. Next thing we have here is a crucible tong. Crucible tongs are used to pick up anything that is of ceramic nature or a watch glass. So there's a couple things that are ceramic, including mortar, pestle, and crucibles. That's to be picked up with the crucible tongs. Next thing we have here is obviously gloves. Shouldn't have to explain what gloves are. On the same note, safety, we have an apron. And down at the bottom, goggles. Okay, obviously these are all things that will help keep you safe. If we need them and they're working with chemicals that are potentially harmful, we will use those just to make sure you guys are safe. One of the big things, if we're using goggles in the lab, we're not picking them up off our face. I know they get foggy and they're uncomfortable. If you need to take them off, go in the hallway. It is fine to leave the classroom and go in the hallway if you are struggling with your goggles. It can be a struggle. Next thing here is test tube brush. If you can't guess, this is used to clean out a test tube. You would take the test tube brush, it'll scrape out the inside of the test tube, and getting it all squeaky clean. Next thing we have is a flint striker. Flint strikers are used to light or ignite Bunsen burners. Basically what you do is you take it over the Bunsen burner, you turn the Bunsen burner's gas, you squeeze it, a little spark will come out, and that will strike or light the Bunsen burner. Next thing we have here is a beaker. Beakers are one of the most important glassware we use. This is where we use to put chemicals in, hold chemicals while we're waiting or even doing a reaction. Next thing, very similar, is an Erlenmeyer flask. So, Erlenmeyer flasks are used to mix chemicals that may splash or foam or spew out. Since there is a small opening in the top, and a large opening or a large area in the bottom, we can mix in this bottom and be safe from it flying out and hitting us in the face or the hands or whatever. The next thing here is a pipette. Pipettes are really similar to the thing next to it, the dropper. They are both used to transfer a liquid from one thing to another thing. The only difference is if I need one drop of something, I'm using the dropper. If I need a significant amount of something, say 10 mils or 10 milliliters, I'm using a pipette. Because a pipette can transfer much more at less cost. Next to that, we have a spring scale. Spring scales are used to measure out the mass of something, the weight of something. A lot of times you see these at like grocery stores even. All you do is you put something at the bottom and it tells you what the mass is by pulling on a spring. Next thing we have is a rubber stopper. Rubber stoppers go on top of Erlenmeyer flasks and other things to cap off the flask. Next one we have here is wire gauze.
Good morning, Kent High School. Just a reminder, once attendance is taken, teachers, that's daily attendance. Seniors, we do need you to report to the PAC for your class meeting. Again, seniors, report to the PAC for class meeting. Also a reminder, no coffee, no mixed drinks, no whatever you get from McDonald's or Starbucks or Scooters. Please keep that in your classroom. Thank you.
Okay. Wire gauze. This is used to, very similar to a clay triangle, that you set it on top of a ring to heat something from the bottom. But we're going to use this for like Erlenmeyer flask, beakers, things that have flat bottoms that don't sit so well inside of the ring or the clay triangle. Okay. Next thing we have here is a glass stir rod or a glass rod. Obviously, glass rods are used to stir, or glass stir rods are used to stir. If I'm mixing two chemicals together and I need to stir them together, I'm going to use a glass rod. They are really good at, obviously, stirring, but they're also not going to break down in your chemical. Next thing we have here is a hot plate. Hot plates are used to boil liquids or heat liquids or sometimes even stir liquids. Yeah, we'll use them a lot. All right, next thing we have is a bubble flask. Bubble flasks and Erlenmeyer flasks are similar, except for bubble flasks are usually used to hold liquids when you're doing a distillation. Distillation is where you heat a liquid up to separate two mixtures via boiling points. So basically, you're trying to heat something to boiling. You're going to use a bubble flask for that. Next thing you have is a test tube rack. Obviously, test tube racks are used to hold test tubes. Okay. Next thing we have here is a fire extinguisher. Hopefully I don't have to tell you what a fire extinguisher is for. Please do not grab it or use it. If there is a case, I will use it. Next thing we have is a funnel. Funnel is used to transfer liquids from one thing to another thing. If you need to do it without spilling, or you have a small opening, you're going to use a funnel. Next thing we have is a crucible. Crucible is to heat up fine powders, try to take out impurities in a substance. Usually you'll mix up or crush something in a mortar or pestle, then you move it over to a crucible, and then you'll put the crucible on to heat with the clay triangle. Next thing we have is a petri dish. Petri dishes are used in biochemistry and biology. Big thing here is that you put specimens in there or something of that sort, and you see how they react after time. Next thing we have down here, bottom, is a test tube. Hopefully you guys know what a test tube is. This is a small container that allows you to do a chemical reaction or hold chemicals for time. Next thing we have is a graduated cylinder. This is one of the things that students get wrong a lot. When we try to find the measurement of something, or say I need 50 milliliters of something, I'm going to always use a graduated cylinder. I can see a distinct measurement. If I say 50 milliliters or something, do not grab a 50 milliliter beaker out and pour it in there, because that is not accurate. There's no way of telling whether you got 50 or you got 55 milliliters. There's not a good way to distinguish in that if you use a beaker, so you're always going to use a graduated cylinder when measuring out liquids. Next thing we have is filter paper. Filter paper is used when you want to separate a solid from a liquid. We're going to put that inside of a funnel, usually there's not one on here, but certain type of funnel. Buchner funnel. Where we can vacuum out all the air and pull the liquid through the bottom while keeping the solid on the top. We have a scupula. Scupula is a mix between a scoop and a spatula. This is how you pick up any chemicals out of containers. Scupulas are nice because of the fact that you can scoop as well as pick stuff up like a spatula. Next thing down here, we have a watch glass. Watch glasses are used for all kinds of things. They're used as like lids for beakers. They're used for to put filter paper on when they're drying. It's kind of like a miscellaneous tool that just kind of uses a bunch of different things. Next thing we have is a thermometer, or a glass thermometer. You guys should know what a thermometer is. Right? Down at the bottom right, we have a balance. Obviously, balances are used to weigh something via a scale there at the top. So you put something on the top, you slide these over one way or the other, and that'll tell us what the weight of something is. Next thing we have here is a ring clamp or a test tube clamp. Test tube clamps go over on a ring stand, and then you can use the wing nut here to pinch a test tube to hold it in position if you want to heat the test tube or you want to use the test tube as a stable spot to do reactions, so on and so forth. Here, we have a test tube holder. To pick up test tubes, and then down at the bottom we have a well plate. The only time we'll use a well plate is if we want to do a chemical reaction that has a bunch of different, or do say a bunch of different chemical reactions, you want to compare them. You could put one chemical reaction in here and then change it a little bit and put it in the next one. You can see how are they different. That is a majority of our common lab equipment. You guys will have a quiz on this and a test on this at some point. Remember that on Monday you're going to have a quiz over week 1 stuff, as well as a short little thing on week 2 stuff. So please come to class prepared for that. I can't wait to see you on Monday.